So I wanted to talk to you guys about the Mark 7 40th edition, the Clubsport, and the new recently available 45 edition, the Clubsport, from the Mark 8. Both of cars which I have driven, both cars I've driven very recently actually on the channel. So please check out those cars, and I'll leave links in the description if you want to know more in depth about both of them. First of all, I'm so happy VW still make these types of cars. They tend to make them in a little bit more limited number, and they tend to try and add a little bit more special, unique details to just up the game from a normal GTI. Now the 40th edition, the one that I actually tested, very similar to the car that I'm in right now, a 3-door manual. But you can get the 40th edition in DSG as well, you can get it in 5-door. For the Mark 7, it would have been a 6-speed DSG gearbox. I can only talk about the 6-speed manual. I thought it was great. Looks wise, between both cars, you're gonna have to make your own mind up. The Mark 8, the 45 edition, comes with a black roof, exactly the same as the 40th edition. That's some of the unique parts of it. You also get side decals. On the 40th Clubsport, you just get Clubsport down the side of the side skirts. On the 45, you get a little 45 numbering, and again, a little bit of a decal to kind of try and make it a little bit more unique. Inside the 45, the only real difference that I noticed was you get a 45 badge on the steering wheel. Compare that to the 40th, where you get your own plaque of the number of the car that was allocated to you from this limited run. You also get things like an Alcantara steering wheel, Alcantara under the gear shift, you get Alcantara on the sides, and you also get optional bucket seats, which I absolutely love. Fairly expensive and hard to find option, but very unique and very cool that they offer it, and really does add to a normal GTI. Both cars have the EA AAA engine, the 2-litre turbo, but the 45 edition comes pretty standard, 296 horsepower. It's great fun. It drove really well, and obviously check out my reviews to see what I really felt of the car. And obviously it looks great as well. You get as a sort of like optional on sort of like the outside compared to a normal GTI, you get really cool 19-inch wheels actually, which I really liked. They tend to be fitted with a little bit of a better, stickier tyre as well, certainly in the UK, which is cool. Bit of a red pinstripe. You get the Akrapovic exhaust. Now that's the big thing, because that's about a £3,500 option on, say, like a Golf R, and you can't option it on a normal Clubsport. So actually, you're kind of quids in. And on the price, this car is about £2,000 or £3,000 more than a normal Clubsport. But in terms of hardware, software, power, it's exactly the same as a normal Mark 8 Clubsport. So the only differences are black roof, Akrapovic exhaust, 19-inch wheels, more special wheels, a 45 badge and a 45 decals. There's nothing else to the 45 that is different. Compare that to the 40th edition Clubsport. They didn't actually have, at that time of the Mark 7, any sort of competing Clubsport, so it was in its own right. That car really competed with the Mark 7 Golf R, and actually the really limited Clubsport S, which had no back seats and was completely stripped out. That car power output is a bit strange. It has 261 horsepower, but on a 10 seconds overboost, you get 286 horsepower. It's a little bit strange. I think a lot of owners find it confusing, and actually the car that I tested was actually remapped to give it a little bit more power to avoid that overboost sort of issue. But that's kind of what you get from stock. You also get a slightly larger spoiler. You get real aero, and that's the thing above a 45. You actually get aero which provides downforce. Okay, it's above 75 miles an hour, but it does actually work. You can see the gaps. I sort of had a good hunt around, a good poke around. You get extra cooling for the brakes as well, which I think is really good. And the rear diffuser and the wing, it all works together to actually stop the car from sort of like lifting off, which is really nice, really unique feature. And I actually think the car looks fantastic. And the fact that you could get them in 3-door, 5-door, manual or DSG, I think it was more open to more people. In terms of the actual wheels, you can get 19-inch Pretorias, which are basically the same as on the Golf R. You can then get some sort of like Brescia wheels as well, some diamond cut sort of stance wheels. But to be honest with you, out of all of the ones that I've seen, I actually think the 19-inch Pretorias, which are on a Golf R, probably look the best. But you can get some slightly more unique wheels as well. I guess the main difference when you're inside is that infotainment. Obviously, it's slightly more outdated than the Mark 7. I personally love it. I still use the car today in, obviously, November 2021, and I'm loving it. But the future's here with the Mark 8, and you get more tech and it can do a lot more things, and that is obviously a big step up from a car that was ultimately, the Mark 7 was made in 2013, so it's getting on a bit now. How would I choose between the two? Well, I think it's all personal preference. Personally, for me, a 40th edition is a great car, and actually on price would probably be the main reason. Those 40ths have barely lost a penny from what they cost new, even though they had a little bit of a premium over a normal GTI. As for a 45, well, they don't even sell them anymore. It was only on sale for actually a few months, and I was very fortunate and very grateful of the owner for allowing me to drive it, as I was for the 40th. That car is not available as of today on the VW Configurator website, and as a result, those cars are going for upwards of £48,000, which is about six to £7,000 over what that car cost retail. So that's a bit steep. And fundamentally, the driving experience is the same as a normal Club Sport. Whereas back in Mark 7 world, you know, the 40th had its own little world, which is cool. They did bring out a Mark 7.5 TCR, but that was sort of different. You know, it had a facelift. It was DSG only. Hopefully I'm trying that car in November, so please stay tuned for that and I'll give you my first impressions on that car. So there you go, two fantastic limited run cars. I really hope you've enjoyed the clips. I mean, as GTIs go, they do them proud. And I absolutely love them both. I think they both look amazing. I think they're both special in their own way. Whether it's mainly for like a bit of the aesthetic looks. Like the black roof, I know you could just do it yourself, but from factory, it makes the car look a lot lower. It really does add to the stance. And I love how it always blends in with like the spoiler and all these kind of bits. The Aquapovich exhaust sounds great on the 45, which is really hard in 2021 when cars are just stuffed up with so much OPFs, GPFs just to cancel the noise. The Aquapovich exhaust sounded fantastic. There was no optional exhaust on the Mark 7, but you know, the one that I tried sounded absolutely fantastic, although it did have a res delete, so I can't be entirely sure, but you know, it still made some great noises. The thing that impresses me the most is this EA888 engine. It's so versatile. You can have it in sort of like your base GTI, you can have it in your special GTI, you can have it in your R, you can have it in your Porsche Macan, you can have it in your Skoda VRS, you can have it in everything. And it's an engine that I'll be looking for in the future, just because I know how rock solid they are and how much it's sort of looked after me. And that's what I like about limited cars. Limited cars that actually work in the real world are so hard to find, and these two are. The 40ths are very hard to and very well sought after as well. And both cars, frankly, are actually really worth the money. Where you look at where we're going, where we look at the next 50th GTI, likely to be electric, if made at all. These two, you know, they do them proud, and they're certainly modern enough to keep with the needs that you have. But let me know any comments that you want to know, anything else that I can share with you between the 40th and the 45. It's all a bit of personal opinion. In terms of the way the car handled, I personally felt the Mark 7 had a little bit more feel to it, but the 45 went where you wanted it to go. It was just a little bit more electric and artificial on the steering. That was the only thing really. In terms of performance, the Mark 8 45 is going to have a standard Mark 7 GTI Clubsport 40th beat, just because, you know, it does shift, and particularly with a DSG, it had the 7-speed. You know, it moves properly fast. Two great cars. I love them both. Comment below to let me know what you think, and any questions, I'll be happy to help.